All right, so today we have the Roadmap to Success video for Wiley and Panda, sorry, and Panda. So what we wanted to mostly work on today were a few things. Mostly that they were both a little fearful of strangers approaching the house. Both dogs do really well when meeting different people on the street or anytime they're not at the home. So they do have we could consider it a little more like resource guarding, but I think that this is their home and they just wanted to make sure that nothing was going to happen to them. The dog Wiley, who tended to be more of the leader out of the two of them, has only been in the home for about 8 months or so, 8 or 9 months. And so I think he still has some feelings of like, I don't want to be taken from the home or have anything happen. So since dogs learn socially, Panda's picked up on some of the cues, since Wiley's more in the leadership position of the two dogs, that something must be happening when someone approaches the door that she didn't know of before. And so she's starting to be a little more responsive and reactive to people coming over because Wiley is. That's the social learning component. So what we wanted to do is change that, and we use counter conditioning as a method to help them make a positive association between someone coming through the door and having them approach them and getting a yummy treat reward. Now, I want to remind you, as you work on this with different people, is to always start with the dog as far away as possible so they feel nice and calm and they can sit and take a treat. When people are at a far distance, make sure that you're the guardians are the ones giving the treats to the dogs. Making a motion for the guests entering the house to like toss a treat with their arm up can create some fear or anxiety for the dogs. So we want to make sure that they're staying nice and calm and everyone's kind of in a calm, still situation as you build up into more movement and more auditory cues, things getting louder over time. Now, I want to remind you of our petting with a purpose philosophy. So anytime your dogs are doing something that they're anxious or nervous, make sure you don't pet them at that time. Redirect their attention, make it a positive experience. So thunderstorms, fireworks, going to the vet, anything like that. Try to redirect their attention and give them treats for good behavior. It can give them more sense of self-control and a controlled setting. And you're giving them a directive that they can feel good about and have confidence. So petting with a purpose, make sure that every time you pet your dog, you are reinforcing their good behavior. So this is your way of saying gold star for you, good job, awesome work. So you want to do this every time they come over and ask for attention. Go ahead and use our petting with a purpose, pet under their chin to facilitate confidence and make them feel good about themselves. If they were to come over and demand attention by kind of flopping their legs over your lap, use the escalating consequences to disagree with them, and then ask them to sit. So we start teaching them over time, autopilot, to ask for attention. Let's be very polite, come over and sit. Now let's talk quickly about the rules that we're going to implement. No furniture for a minimum of 30 days or until the behavioral problems that you called us about have been resolved. This might mean that one of the dogs will get certain privileges before another one, depending on the progress that they're making with their behavior. Okay, so that's one. Another one will be sitting before going through a door. So make sure that when you go to let them outside, you ask them to sit first. Okay? And another one, the last one, will be using structured feeding. The dogs have 3 minutes to eat total. Each one individually has 3 minutes to eat total. And if you put the food down and they don't eat all their food immediately, just pick it up, put the food back in the bag, set the empty bowl back down, and then give the other dog permission to eat. Now, because Panda's a little better and more social with people coming into the home, we're rewarding that behavior by letting Panda eat first. She's also older, the older one out of the two, and was in the home prior to the other dog. So these are all little markers that tell us that she can have a little more of a leadership position, and we want Wiley to be thinking about why is she getting this privilege and start to look in that type of social learning experience and say, like, what is she doing differently than I am to get this kind of privilege? Over time, if they're both being equally well behaved, make sure that you can start feeding them at the same time. Separate their bowls across the room so they're not too close to each other. Anytime a dog is eating, they should be about 7 feet away from each other, which includes you. So another good rule to have is to make sure that your dogs are about 7 feet away from you anytime that you're eating. That means whether you're on the couch, at the dining room table, or anything like that. And you can use the escalating consequences to build that invisible boundary that we discussed before with the leadership exercise and to keep them at that safe distance. And it's another way to implement self-control in you as the leader and them as a follower looking to you for direction. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.